Odyssey Jones grapples with domestic violence allegations and perhaps unemployment. Hulk Hogan once again squares off against his toughest opponent, his mouth. And AEW celebrates a year without CM Punk by drastically overcounting their all-in attendance. Hey fans, please bathe.
The Wrestling Hour starts now. What's going on, wrestling fans? Welcome back to the Wrestling Hour Season 2. Your host right here, Dave Sturchio, alongside his Robin. That's right, I'm Batman. He's Robin. And that is Josh Shernoff. Josh, new format. How are we feeling about it, brother?
I'm feeling good. I'm sitting on a couch and I'm not wearing a suit, so I'm feeling really good. Hey,
I'm wearing a hat and I'm not wearing my suit jacket or any gel in my hair, so I'm feeling just as good.
As long as you're wearing pants. Hey, you know who's not feeling good right now? Odyssey Jones. Get right into this. So apparently, this starts the other day. All of a sudden, there's Odyssey Jones is not on the roster page. Which my first question to that is, who is looking at the roster page on a daily basis? I can tell you, if every single day my job was to go on and look at the roster page, I would not have noticed that Odyssey Jones was not on it anymore. So I don't understand.
I think the only people that watch or hawk the roster pages is now Casey Navarro, who has popped up on the TNA roster page.
Okay.
So that's
but
he's
waiting for himself. Day. Congrats to Casey Navarro, by the way.
Congrats.
Even if he has to team with AJ Francis. But let's talk about Odyssey Jones, though. So apparently Odyssey Jones involved in the storyline with the New Day, and then that was squashed as soon as somebody discovered that he had domestic violence allegations against him. I don't believe there have been any charges. And WWE, have they actually even said anything about this?
They have not said anything from what I've gathered. I haven't seen anything in the news. I haven't seen, you were the one to break the news to me last night. You're like, oh, we'll start with Odyssey Jones. And
breaking
I was like,
news.
Okay, what about Odyssey Jones?
That's why they call me Breaking News Shernoff. So that's been a big thing. Sean Ross Sapp reported something. What's his face? From Alvarez reported something. Okay. So my instant reaction was it wasn't true. And then I looked into it a little bit further. So apparently there was the real Odyssey Jones. That it was like, who is the real Odyssey Jones or something was like the Twitter handle. And it was somebody just constantly for like months, if not years now, has been posting things about how Odyssey Jones is a woman beater and all of this stuff, which and listen, the jovial tone that we're taking here is not to shine any positive light or make light of that. I mean, if these allegations are true, good riddance to you. See you later. We don't need you.
It's weird when you're as big as the WWE is now, on top of how big they've already been. They already were the juggernaut of professional wrestling, but now you team up with TKO and Endeavor and all this other shit, right? So you got to be squeaky clean, and they're very much like the NFL, where the NFL is the powerhouse that is. And if there's any rumblings, I'll tell you,
has there ever been domestic violence from an NFL player? I'm not
yeah, right. Exactly.
I'm getting word.
And
yes.
Again, nothing.
Yes.
Nothing, right. Nothing to laugh at, obviously. But unfortunately, that's part of the culture that we're, surrounded by in the world of professional sports, right? It's not just wrestling. It's not just football. It's everywhere, unfortunately. And the crazy part is, I can compare this to 2017 when Ezekiel Elliott got suspended for 6 games for allegations. There was no charges. There was no actual, there wasn't a girl
champion, Ezekiel Elliott. No, that's
wrong.
Jackson.
Wrong, Zeke.
Ezekiel Jackson.
But no, what I will, I'm saying, the NFL said, okay, we don't care if there's going to be charges. You're giving the shield, the NFL shield, not the shield with Roman, the NFL shield, a bad look. And I think that if there is any kind of inkling or rumbling or somebody that's so dedicated and passionate enough to tweet at this dude a million times over, then there's something going on. And WWE wants to just, wipe their hands clean and say, look, man, nice run, but If you're a piece of shit, then you're out. Sorry.
Right.
Like, that's it.
So, do you think, just playing devil's advocate here, what do you think about, like, we haven't heard, now for all we know, WWE knows of charges that were filed, right? WWE knows of all this stuff, and we don't. But let's go out on a limb and say WWE knows what we know, right? Which is somebody has been making these allegations, no charges, no legal charges. Do you think that this is a negative, the way that the internet is now, the way that even the WWE will wash their hands of it immediately just because, hey, maybe something happened? Now, I'm not suggesting that it didn't happen, but I'm saying until we have that proof, until he's been, right, isn't it supposed to be innocent until proven guilty? But in the court of public opinion,
anymore.
right, in the court of public opinion, he's guilty until proven innocent. And even then, people will still assume that he's guilty. And again, I want to specify, if the dude's guilty and I have no reason to believe that he isn't, then again, good riddance to you. We don't need you. There's no excuse for that whatsoever. The fact that people just jump immediately, anyone can go online and post something and say this person did something.
And
right?
look at the timing of it. You're right. The timing of it is, oh, Odyssey Jones is on Monday Night Raw now, and he's teaming with the New Day. So now this is the biggest push that this kid's ever gotten in his professional wrestling career. And all of a sudden, this person probably said, you know what? No way. No way are you going to get away with this right now.
I think that the allegations have been out there for a while, like years.
No, that's what I'm saying.
So
but now it's like doubled down because he's polarized now. It's right. Odyssey Jones is with the New Day. So now it's just like,
so now more people are Googling Odyssey Jones. More people are searching for him on, so, and then people are digging for dirt. And again, look, it's going to play out the way it plays out. If he didn't do anything, then, hey, let's get to the bottom of that. If he did do something, then again, get to the bottom of that and see you later. So, I love how wrestling fans have decided to focus their attentions primarily on Xavier Woods, though, with this, that Xavier Woods might be behind these allegations just because there was a storyline going on where Xavier Woods wasn't thrilled about Kofi Kingston bringing Odyssey Jones into the New Day. So that's a fun bunch of wrestling fans. Not any of our viewers or listeners.
Here's the thing.
They're not on that level.
With wrestling fans in general, and this goes for sports fans, this goes for everybody across the board. This is also like, not to bring it up because I hate even talking about it, but like, how many health experts were there out there when COVID was running rampant, right? Mm-hmm. There was, you can't do this, you can't do that. Now there's a million lawyers out there apparently who know everything, right? So it's like, I just wish that we lived in a world, specifically in wrestling, because I think that wrestling fans are a little too close to the situations, right? And I think that, this is a very big example of, this is something that you can't touch right now. You cannot, like, as a human being who doesn't have any experience in law, you cannot go out there and say, like, I can't believe this guy did this. Like, you have no right to say anything about anybody.
Well, it's the same way that everybody, to your point of what you said before, everybody with COVID, you had all of these people, all of a sudden they're keyboard doctors, right? Who knew, oh no, this is, don't worry about that, or worry about this or whatever. That's the world we live in. And I think it's always been that way, but I think social media has changed it where now we hear it, right? What before was, a couple of neighbors, it was between, them and the fence post, and they're sitting there having their conspiracy theories or their things, or, I think maybe this guy did this or whatever it is. Well, now they go and they put it on the internet, and then 100,000 trolls attach themselves to it. So it's the way it's always been, I think. And now we just unfortunately have to see it. We can't hide from it, but
yeah, I mean, just have to see how it plays out. And again, and I say this about everybody, specifically in the DV cases, right? Like if you find out, or if the world finds out that you're innocent, right? Then I would turn this around and do everything in my power to make sure there's a defamation countersuit and all this other shit. Cause it's like, this kind of stuff sticks with you.
Right.
Like, squeaky clean people have gotten in some serious shit because of other people's allegations, and things have never come true. There are dog shit people in professional sports. That goes without saying. But what I will say is, you got to wait. You can't just jump all over this. I know there's, listen, ESPN is famous for this. They'd almost rather be first and accurate, right? Like they just want to be the first one to talk about, here comes a new allegation. And I think that, and this is no discredit to Sean Ross Sapp or anybody who's reporting on this, but please do your homework before you report something as serious as this.
And I will say,
what I mean? This is like,
in
there
defense,
wasn't much social media during the Benoit stuff. You know what I mean?
right?
So it's
and and we're gonna get to that in a minute.
Holy Lord,
But I will say, in defense of Sean Ross Sapp, some people were giving him a hard time because he wasn't commenting on it, because he was taking his time trying to find out. He wouldn't say, "Oh, Odyssey Jones is fired." He's actually, I mean, everybody has their opinions on everybody, but I do respect the fact that he takes his time and tries his best to report things accurately. Then there's a Brian Alvarez who reports based purely on his gut. But hey, whatever. I will say that however this plays out, there should not be a place in the world for domestic violence. Not in sports, not in wrestling, not in the world. There shouldn't be. So again, if this is true, I hope that this is the last we have to talk about him. If it isn't true, then man, does it suck that his name is getting dragged into this. So we will, look, the important thing to know about the Wrestling Hour and this new format that we have is we will not be first, nor will we make sure that we're accurate. So that's what we do here. Hey, speaking of not being accurate, Hulk Hogan. So, and here's the best part. I could be referencing so many different things, right? Who did he play bass guitar for? No, that's not accurate. He was recently on Logan Paul's podcast, and he was, okay. See how we can unpack this. So he was trying to make a point about the mistakes that he's made in his career, but how forgiving the WWE fans are. So we'll pause right there, right? Number one, I'm not sure how forgiving they have been to him. So right off the bat, it's great to be, man, everyone's forgiven me. It's so wonderful. And everyone's sitting there going, we haven't forgiven you at all.
I remember simply like nonchalantly posting on a personal Facebook page of mine, which I'm allowed to just kind of riff and just kind of talk my talk, right? And just,
your professional ones, you're not allowed to.
No, I'm like contracted and obligated not to speak about anything. But no, I put like a picture of Hogan ripping the shirt off at the DNC or whatever, not the DNC, the whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah, no, DNC he wasn't allowed there.
He wasn't allowed there. The other one,
yes.
The Republican National, RNC, fine. But like I posted that, I'm like, look at this. This is so funny. It's Hulk Hogan. Look at the lengths this party will go to, right? And people, I'm just like, this is awesome. Yeah, I said this is awesome, right? Then I get well, I guess we're forgetting about X, Y, Z. I'm like, oh my God, dude. Like, can't we just talk about Hulk Hogan, the wrestler, before we talk about Hulk Hogan, the piece of shit?
Well, I'm glad. Okay, so I'm glad that you said that, because that's kind of, this was Hulk Hogan's point where he goes, and I think maybe I'm paraphrasing, but I think I'm getting pretty close to the quote where he said, fans are really forgiving. I mean, if they'd forgive Benoit for the crap he did, and so here's what he's referencing, because a lot of people are like, no one's forgiving Chris Benoit. Here's what he's referencing. He's referencing the fact that there is a small section of people who, for whatever reason, I don't know if they think they're edgy, if they think they're cool, enjoy bringing up the in-ring ability of Chris Benoit. They enjoy constantly talking about, oh, Chris Benoit was the greatest wrestler, all that stuff. Almost like the fact that they're doing that somehow makes them cool because, hey, I've got the balls to do that when we know that he killed his family and himself, right? So
that's like just to paraphrase, just to kind of sum that up for sports fans. That's like everybody's like, have you seen how fast and how long Mike Vick can throw a damn football? And you're like,
yeah, you're like, oh
yeah,
yeah, but
but
remember, how what a horrible human being he is. But hey, he apologized, and those fans are forgiving. So,
especially Eagles fans,
oh well,
huge
we're
in the
not gonna
apology game.
listen. We still have like a couple of weeks before we have to really have that week, right?
Yeah.
That week where we're gearing up towards the Eagles and the Cowboys, and then the week afterwards where I get to make fun of you for the Cowboys losing. Um, regardless.
Find out more on my Fandom Cast.
Yeah, find out more on My Fandom Cast. Hey, by the way, this is presented by My Fandom. If you haven't gone to myfandom.com, myfandomapp.com, or downloaded the My Fandom app, you're missing out. Go right now. Do it. Make sure that you do it. Myfandomapp.com.
Somebody posted some awesome shit from All In.
Yes, yeah, from over
Yesterday.
over
I
in
saw
the
a bunch of
UK.
photos. That was awesome.
Yeah,
And I see that your best friend in the entire universe, Matt Cardona, has been frequently posting
Matt
now. So that's cool.
Cardona's got a ton of stuff. He always posts these great things on social media. Well, now with My Fandom, you can go and see on Matt's profile all the events that he's been a part of and all of his like behind the scenes photos. Some of them are in-ring photos that he's cool and always gives credit to the photographer for it. But yeah, go check that out. It's My Fandom. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But back to Hulk Hogan, if we have to. Back to Hulk Hogan. So what he was referencing was all of those fans who want to continue to put over Chris Benoit as an incredible talent in the ring. And look, no matter what he did outside of wrestling, it doesn't all of a sudden you don't turn and say, oh man, that wrestling move was really bad because he's a murderer. Well, no, the wrestling move is still as good as it was beforehand, but the person doing it is not the person you thought was doing it. So the best thing you could do is just shut up and not talk about Chris Benoit and the great wrestler that he was, right? Instead, if you have to bring him up, talk about the horrible person that he was. Or if you don't want to talk about the horrible person and you want to talk about CTE and you want to talk about, hey, how did he get to this point? If you believe, hey, that's not the Chris Benoit that we knew and loved before, what happened, then have that conversation. But don't have the conversation about, oh man, Chris Benoit should be in the Hall of Fame. No, he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. That's absolutely not. He doesn't get to be on trial for the murders that he committed. So what type of punishment can you give this guy? We'll punish his legacy, right?
So also to that point, you just said that Hogan said that they forgave Chris Benoit. Well, guess what? I'm here to tell you, this is breaking news. You might not understand this. Some of you guys maybe want to rewind and rewatch this moment right here. Chris Benoit is dead.
Oh,
so he doesn't know that anybody forgave him or hate him or anything like that. So he's out of this. So
he
Hogan
also
even
didn't apologize. I also don't think he apologized prior to.
No, he didn't. Unless it was in a note that nobody's discovered, or he told Kevin Sullivan or something like that. Like, I don't know who he talked to or Chavo or whatever, but like, you're right. He didn't show any mercy on
and
this
listen, and
regard.
that's a whole other, and one day maybe we'll have a conversation all about, that tragedy. And it was horrific, and it's a terrible, terrible thing that happened with real human beings, and then an awful stain on the industry. By the way, who should be in the Hall of Fame? Woman, Nancy Benoit, should be in the Hall of Fame because her contributions to pro wrestling were significant, having absolutely nothing to do with her marriage to Chris Benoit. So just going to throw that out.
The problem is you'll never get that. Wrestling fans are too aggressive and too passionate to say like, oh, we're going to put in Nancy. Then you're going to get the Benoit caper uppers that are just going to be like, no, you can't do that without this.
Yeah,
like,
but those people are stupid. So Hulk Hogan's whole thing, back to Hulk Hogan, because the show's only an hour. So I have to cut myself off because otherwise I told somebody, I was like, we're going to do a show and we're going to stay to an hour. They like looked at me. They're like, I can't even ask you how's your day and get that answer in an hour. Like, so I'm an incredibly long-winded person, but we thank you for tuning into the Wrestling Hour. Dave Sturchio.
It's like me in a text.
Josh Sharp. It's you know what though? I prefer that. I prefer a long text versus 100 short texts. I can't stand that. Shout out to my buddy Mike Green. I can't stand when you get like the, hey man, send. Wanted to talk to you about something. Send. So I've been thinking, send. Like, and you're just like, you could have just typed all of that and then sent it all at what, right? Like, I don't, now you have my undivided attention, I guess, you know? But anyway, so Hulk Hogan, piece of shit. So here's the thing. Hulk Hogan was caught on, for those who don't know, Hulk Hogan was caught on film using the N-word with a hard R, and he was just, you know, I would say unapologetically racist, to the point where he said, we're all a little racist. And I'm sure to him, he felt like, you know, like Avenue Q, that song, you know, everyone's a little bit racist. I think he thought, you know, hey, what's a little racism between friends? And by friends, I mean your best friend's wife that you just finished sleeping with on film. So, gloves are off now, guys. Gloves are off.
Yeah, they are. In fact, this is not.
Well, actually, we don't know that. It wasn't high def.
Wrestling.
It wasn't high def. We don't know if a glove was off or on. That's his business. That's between them. There are many different forms of protection. Regardless, Hulk Hogan, he said all that stuff, and then he attempted to apologize to the WWE locker room in an attempt to come back after being kicked out of the Hall of Fame. We're not going to get into a conversation about who else should be kicked out of the Hall of Fame or shouldn't be kicked out of the Hall of Fame, because it's such a... But anyway, Hulk Hogan was kicked out, welcomed back in. I had the opportunity to interview him on the first episode of the Apter Chat when I was doing that podcast with Bill Apter. And I'm going to say something that's never been said before that nobody knew about. And because we're already about 20 minutes into this show, Bill Apter's already stopped listening.
Sleeping.
Hulk Hogan said some stuff in that interview that we chose to edit out. He did not say anything racist. He didn't say anything like terrible like that, but he painted himself in a relatively, like, he said things in a way that people could have construed it a certain way. And Bill's feeling on it, and I respected completely, because we weren't journalists. We were, you know, doing a podcast. Bill's feeling on it was, you know, the way he said that could have gone either way. Do we need to include that? Because people are just going to jump on that crap. And it's clearly not what he meant. And I agreed. And I said, you know, sure, it doesn't matter either way. Good news for everybody else. Hulk Hogan's then said the same thing and worse in every single interview since. So you've missed absolutely nothing. But the one takeaway from it, and this is what it was that we removed, was where he described his meeting with the WWE locker room. And he never really apologized. Instead, he made it abundantly clear that this is why you need to always be on your toes. This is why you always need to be, you know, careful what you say. So really his apology was more, don't...
sorry I got caught.
Yeah. I'm sorry that I said the quiet part on tape. Like, and that's, you know, what's the term? Not an apology. So, you know, I just, regardless, for him...
As the kids say on the streets, sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
He's really not.
No, and Riz. They say that a lot too now, I think, right? And
I'm learning, bro. I'm learning as I go,
toilets. Anyway, I don't know. This is the Wrestling Hour, brought to you by older folks. So yeah, your thoughts, Dave, on
you know what it is, and I think this actually stems through a conversation I had with a colleague of mine about how stars in wrestling do whatever it takes to stay relevant, right? And even when they don't have their real run. So like Hulk Hogan will go down as one of the greatest performers, professional wrestlers of all time, simply because his notoriety, his household name, all that shit, right?
Mhm.
And then you stockpile a guy like Ric Flair on that, right? And he's the same thing. Unbelievable in the ring, the charisma, the promos, the this, the that, the 16-time world champion, all that shit. You will always remember Ric Flair as one of the Mount Rushmores of professional wrestling, right? Somebody like a Ryback or something like that, who is spun off of the fucking planet. Sorry if I dropped the F-bomb. Who is spun off
Hey,
the
when you're
planet.
talking about your hero, you say whatever it is you want to say. By the way, I do want to say, if you're listening to this as a podcast, you're going to see a little E next to it for explicit. And the reason is, behind the scenes, pulling back the curtain a little, inside baseball here. I edit this show and I don't have the time to search every time Dave Sturchio drops an F-bomb. Or I think you've said shit like 140 times already. But that's why we love him.
I'm a New Jersey Italian.
That's why we love him.
Yes. But like a guy like Ryback, who's spun off the planet, who's trying his very hardest to stay relevant in whatever world he's trying to do, whether it be a universe or a galaxy or a TikTok battle. There's always ways to try to stay relevant, right? Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Bret Hart, guys like that who have already been known to be speakers, right? Promos, right? These guys are speakers. They've always spoke their mind. I just think, and this is, again, it really depends on who you surround yourself with. They're better people in their circles, whether it be Charlotte Flair or Hogan's kids or somebody that's related to Bret or a best friend or a cousin or a Hart, whatever. You need the good people to tell these people, hey, let's not do podcasts anymore. Let's like go enjoy your grandkids, go enjoy your family, go enjoy professional wrestling from an outsider's perspective. You don't necessarily have to because of who you are. You are not obligated as Ric Flair or Hulk Hogan to continue to go on podcasts because you feel like you need the world to hear your message. Because guess what? 9 times out of 10, these senile old men will continue to drop the biggest bombs of all time on a podcast. And then all of a sudden your shit gets tarnished because now, just like I posted the thing of Hogan ripping his shirt off at Trump's thing, I'm like, this is so cool.
Right. And now everyone's like, Dave Sturchio, racist, right? Like, right.
Right. But that's the thing. Like, I get lumped in like, oh, you like this guy? Oh, yeah. Like, that's like Chris Payne, who's also featured on the Fight Factory podcast. He'll be the first one to say he has every Hulk Hogan figure known to man. He's got every headband, every Rip 'em t-shirt. He has everything Hulk Hogan. But if you look at him after a Logan Paul interview, you might look at Chris Payne and say, oh, come on, dude. How can you support this guy? That's the problem. Less is more. Hulk Hogan needs to not talk to Logan Paul. And that's it. That's how you avoid this shit.
But you hit the nail on the head there when you said, they need to know that they don't have to go out and do that. But I feel like guys like a Ric Flair and a Hulk Hogan, they have to do that. They have to go out and say what they want and be heard. Whereas I feel like Bret is more people seek him out for interviews or whatever it is, and then he'll just tell how he feels. Everyone gives Bret Hart a hard time because he still has animosity towards Goldberg. I mean, okay, look, he's got animosity towards Goldberg. It's sad what happened to Bret, and Bret chose not to forgive him after I'm pretty sure he forgave him and then decided not to.
Bret Hart should write a book.
He did.
And just call it, I don't accept your apology.
Look, and here's the thing, man.
Bret Hart has made a post-wrestling career of being a whiny, annoying, old, can't just, I know you're a Bret guy, I'm a Shawn guy.
Love
you know
how
much
this tie right over here.
It's a beautiful tie.
Thank you.
But what I will say is, how many times has Shawn Michaels now is in a very prominent role, right? He's the ruler of NXT, and he's the one behind steering the ship. Do you think he's going to go on a podcast and start talking shit about the past and complain about this, that, and the third? They've done interviews with him. He's told everything he needs to tell. But a guy like Bret Hart, for whatever reason, he won't let anything go, like at all, like ever. And that's the same thing that you just said it. You just said it about Hulk Hogan, where these guys, they have this in their chest, deep buried within them, that says, okay, they wake up, they go to the gym. How can I get the world talking about me today? And these guys are pushing 70 years old.
But here's the thing, man.
Get over it.
But that's the world in general now, right? Like that's what social media is. That's what, Twitter or, X, that's what that is now, is an opportunity for, and always has been, it's an opportunity for people who otherwise would be voiceless to have a voice, to feel like I'm going to speak and the people are going to listen. Well, now imagine you're someone who actually has had a voice and actually has people who are going to listen. And you are there in the gym and you're saying, damn, I want to say something about this. And you say it. And here's the thing. This is what I thought about with Hulk Hogan, though, and take this for whatever you will. But when he showed up at the RNC, I thought, first of all, my first thought was like, what are we doing? Like, did someone say, like, it's time for people to take us seriously? Let's get Hulk Hogan, But I don't care where you fall politically. Like, I think everyone could agree this probably wasn't the best person.
But and the best part about it is like, all right, we got you Hulk Hogan. We see your Hulk Hogan. We're gonna raise you Lil Jon. Yeah, right. And the other, it's like, okay, this is officially a circus.
Yeah,
I can't
it's
deal
like,
with this shit.
Yeah, I'm pretty. This is what our founding fathers had in mind. I think
they rolled over in their graves, and they're gonna remain face down.
Oh man. But I looked at him and I said, you know what? Hogan seems to be embracing this delusional idea of the fans have forgiven me. I'm still the greatest of all time. That time when I pressed the 700-pound Andre the Giant all the way over my head and then slammed him down. And 3 days later he died, even though it was like 6 years later. Hulk Hogan, it's the guy. Look, the guy is, man, CTE. It's the gift that keeps on giving, right? Like Hogan is out to lunch. And the statement, but I will say not in his defense, but in fairness, because if we're anything at the Wrestling Hour, we're fair, and handsome, and bearded, courtesy of Mad Cat Beard Care. Check them out. Yeah, not even an official sponsor, but we love them over at Mad Cat Beard Care. Hulk Hogan though, it's there was no reason to compare it to Chris Benoit. That's kind of, I think, at the core of it.
You tie the bow around all of it.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan, we're wrong.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan, wrong. Just stop. And when you can be sitting doing an interview with Logan Paul, and Logan Paul is kind of cringing a little bit, going, that's not really a statement I'm comfortable making. They could have very well. Is Logan?
I don't know this for a fact. Is Logan Paul's podcast live? No, right? Like that's post produced.
I think it's post.
So if they looked at that, if they looked at that, isn't this half on Logan Paul? Logan Paul, knowing that he's also the attention whore that he is, like he's like, oh, like that made me cringe, but boy, oh boy, is this gonna fire up my downloads and clicks and all that stuff.
Yep.
Because that's probably how he's thinking, right?
Probably. Right. I mean, that's probably his thought process. And listen, and it should be in that regard, right? If the guy's gonna go on there and bury himself, I mean, get some clicks. When you just announced that you were a racist, we're going to put that out there on social media so that everyone sees and get the clicks here, right? Because it's all about the clicks. Dave, it's not just about the clicks. Not just, hey, I saw a fan once go, too sweet me, bro, and I threw up.
All over him.
It's not.
And you know what? And you know what? That said fan still is not showered.
Let's talk about that for a little bit. It seems like social media is starting. The wrestlers have started to be a little more comfortable going, "Hey fans, you stink." I'm going to tell you, I spent some time. I had the privilege and opportunity to work for then Fight TV, and I was sent out into the masses, oftentimes for AEW. And my job was to stand in the midst of the fans back when they had them. And I would stand in the midst of all of those fans in attendance and have to speak in the microphone. And there were some wonderful people. And then there were some people where I joked about throwing up earlier, where I really thought I was going to you ever have that where you're sitting to yourself, you're like, I can't breathe through my nose because I'll smell it. But if I breathe through my mouth, I think I'm going to taste it. And that's even like, which one's worse, right? So you're sitting there trying to figure out, can I do a minute promo in one breath? And I mean, it's...
Welcome to Fight TV. This is Josh Shernoff.
Yep.
Like, Josh, slow it down. I can't,
guys. I will say, hey, shout out to them for the hazard pay, though. I appreciated that. But I think it's important that we legitimately acknowledge deodorant, right?
Yeah,
like, dude, it's readily available. Comes it's very many available. Brands and different you know scents.
Those same fans are walking into rec centers and VFWs, and they're saying, "Hey, I paid $25 to $30 for this ticket. I'm gonna pay $100 to $150 on autographs and shit. Mm-hmm. So don't cry poverty.
Right?
Don't cry poverty. Go get yourself a stick of deodorant." And I think that would be the ultimate heel move if any wrestlers are really, really want to catch some heat. Come out with like a box of deodorant and hand them out to the nastiest, smelliest fans you've ever seen in your life.
But they still
won't
that
would
be
them. One. I'm sorry.
We're gonna get heat, but they still won't use them. So come out with the spray.
Oh yeah, spray. Yeah, spray them up.
A deodorizer. No, it's just here's the thing, and this isn't just wrestling fans. Wrestling fans are getting a bad rap here. You know?
Yeah, but it's primarily that.
Right. It's kind of like think of it as like a Venn diagram, right? Like it's wrestling, like whatever it is, the middle is wrestling fans and they all smell. So let's just I don't understand it. This is deodorant. Like you have small children. I have small children. We reached a point with like my daughter when she she's 9.5. And we said, hey, you're getting older, make sure it's a hot day. Make sure you throw some deodorant on because that's what you do in the morning, right? Before you leave your house. You also brush your teeth. And I don't care. Listen, wrestling fans, and I mean this with all due respect. I don't care how many teeth you have. Still brush them, right? Get those gums.
If anything,
get the
it makes
tongue.
it easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got one tooth. Just go to town.
Congratulations. Floss is out the window. You only have the spaces are there. You don't need to waste your time on that. Spend that money, your floss money in your budget, right? When you have that and it says floss money, use that, change that deodorant. But no, seriously, it's like wrestlers are commenting specifically, I believe, down at NXT because it's a smaller venue.
Oh man.
And just it's like, guys, like self-awareness. And look, everyone.
NXT people, I invite you to the Rawway Rec Center on September 28th. Go check that cesspool out. Check out that petri dish.
I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to be there. By the way, Kevin, this is me telling you. I'm not going to be there. September 28th.
He'll take all the time in the world to watch this.
September 28th is my birthday. So I will not be there, but not because of that, but because I don't appreciate where Danny Moff was pictured on the poster, and I don't appreciate the fact that Danny Moff is not getting his title shot that he's supposed to get at WrestlePro. So until he does,
Danny Moff one of the championships for you right now. Let's just pause.
Danny Moff, he's Fight Factory champion. He's got, I've got behind me, I have the original Premier title. I've got all these other. I'm just gonna give them all to. I'm gonna give them all to Danny Moff.
Yeah, I'm sure it's well deserved. But,
this.
Getting back to
this is mine.
Getting back to wrestling fans, real quick. Just do yourself a favor. You can fight this battle by just purchasing a $3 stick, $4 stick of deodorant. I know times are tough, but
dude, I don't care if it's a $1 stick, right? Like I don't care.
Just take a bath, water, and I would say water's free, and I know it's not, but like I've seen people jump in a lake with a bottle of shampoo.
Jump in a lake, dude. I don't care if you jump in a lake and you find like a fragrant flower and rub it on your armpits. Like do something because it's horrific. It's just bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad. Hey, you know what else is bad? It's my segue. I don't know.
Yeah, segue 101.
The reported numbers for All In. No, I don't. But seriously, I have them right over here on my yellow legal pad. That's how you know they're official. So apparently, Dave, the turnstile.
Ever an illegal pad?
What?
Was there ever an illegal pad, by the way?
Yeah,
like, I'm just out of curiosity.
The white ones that are not as long, 100% illegal.
Oh, they're illegal?
You can't, no,
Oh,
don't even, man,
it.
you try to write something down on that, no one will accept those notes. And if you say it, this is a lesson, everyone. If you say it with conviction, it's true. All 100%. In numbers, the turnstile is, well, before we get to the turnstile, Tony Khan, TK.
It's just Tony Khan running in circles.
Tony Khan,
like, this'll do it.
Somehow found the energy to run around the turnstile. No, Tony Khan claimed that All In had over 50,000 people in attendance, right?
Okay.
WrestleTix listed 53,385 sales and comps. Okay.
Okay.
The turnstile, 46,476. And if you're watching and listening to this, you probably are thinking, oh man, they're about to crap on Tony Khan. I'm not. Because I'm going to look at this and say, why is this even a conversation? That's why I wanted to bring this up, ironically, to say, why are we talking about it? Obviously, Tony Khan's saying these are how many people were in attendance. Now, he may be saying tickets sold or whatever, but semantics, who cares? That's like, oh, how many billions does he have? He says he has more billions than the billions he had. Dude, who cares? Right? Like, let me ask you honestly, Fight Factory Wrestling, are you going to care if you had 46,000 people instead of the 50,000 that you claimed? Like, oh, my bad.
No, I just, to be honest, yeah. To be honest, I think it's just it's a round number. That's all. I don't see much. I don't put stock behind this. I don't think that anybody, like, if Tony's like, just think about it like this. If I had 830 people at the War on the Shore, I would be like, yeah, we have like 1,000 people.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's it. So Tony Khan saying 50,000 over 46, should not be news.
Plus, when it's being reported that there was, 43 or 53,000 plus when you're counting comps. Well, guess what? Their eyes still work. They were still there watching the show. So to me,
if you think they're still in this to make money, you're wrong. like Tony Khan and AEW, listen, they will be around for a long, long time, whether anybody likes it or not.
As long as they want to be around.
So for anybody to what?
As long as they want to be around.
Right. And it's an unlimited bankroll. And we've realized this over time now. They've made it 5 years plus. And I think that anybody making any kind of deal of this is kind of silly. And it's just looking for a way to take a jab at Tony Khan, because Tony Khan is a punching bag to the internet wrestling community. It's horrible what they do to this guy. Does he walk himself into a lot of this shit? Yeah, probably. But like overall, like, you got to give kudos where kudos is done. Like 50,000 people, 46,000 people at Wembley friggin' Stadium is still a massive accomplishment for AEW. Like, you cannot paint that in a different way. I'm sorry.
No.
Unless you really have a vendetta against Tony Khan.
And the vendetta is because these people want to see a car crash, right? They want to see failure, especially when it's somebody that they believe was given something, whether it was billions of dollars or whatever. They believe they were given something that they shouldn't have been given, or it bothers them, or the Young Bucks piss them off. So, which, by the way, let the Young Bucks do whatever they want. I have my opinions on the Young Bucks. I think their little victory lap a year ago or 2 years ago was less than ideal. No, it was a year ago, right? No. Yes, it was a year ago. Sorry, I couldn't remember which September CM Punk pissed them off. Meanwhile, CM Punk kind of doing okay. You know who's not? AEW as far as attendance. You know who is? WWE. So maybe spend a little less time worrying about CM Punk and worry more about your product. I remember Chris Jericho in the beginning saying that in a couple, and this came out recently again, somebody posted, this is from Busted Open, where he was in an interview. He's like, I think in a few months, we're going to be beating WWE in the ratings. And people now look at him and they go like, oh my God, he was delusional. But you have to put it in context, right? The context was 2019, pre-pandemic, AEW firing on all cylinders. They had one show. Their show was fantastic, in my opinion. It was well thought out. It was not oversaturated. And WWE was at perhaps its worst creative ever. So the thought was, hey, maybe this could happen. And he even said, we're not going to beat them every week, but I think there'll be some weeks. I think we'll be competitive. And he said, because everything we do makes sense and it all connects and everything. And I feel like that's just out the window. I'm sure it all connects in Tony Khan's mind. And I mean this in all sincerity. The dude's incredibly smart. Very, very smart. My concern is that he's too smart. He's too smart for booking wrestling. Because wrestling at its core and at its best, in my opinion at least, and Dave, I want to hear yours, is it's simplistic.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I think that Tony Khan has aligned himself. He hired the right people, I think. There's a lot of people behind the scenes that should be behind the scenes in a professional wrestling format. If their in-ring career is over or they just have a mind for it, he's got people around him. The only problem is Tony Khan never really listens to the right people. He's just like, okay, here's my idea. And somebody be like, well, I would probably do it this way. And Tony Khan might come back and say, you know what? That's a really good change, but we're still going to do it my way. And it's like, you got to get out of your own way a little bit. And I'm not saying, look, you and I, you've promoted events. I've promoted now. I'm going on my second one. So I'm not like a savant, but I've been around those who have booked matches as to why matches are being booked. I can't tell you how many times I've turned on Dynamite, Collision, Rampage, whatever they're doing and saying, okay, this match is great. Why is it happening? You know what I mean? And there's too many times that happens. And I think the passionate wrestling fan will mark this as, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He probably really, really does know what he's doing, but he does it to the point where it's like, if you're watching like a Freddie Prinze Jr. movie or something, like I Know What You Did Last Summer, right? Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden the killer just slices up the last person, right? And the movie should be over at that point. But then all of a sudden you're like, wait, no, this guy's not really dead. He came back and he's going to fight him now. But the credits already rolled, right? Like, you're like, so there's too much, there's overthinking that gets involved in this. And I think that's where Tony Khan is so pumped and excited about an idea that he turns it into this fabrication where it's just like, okay, I'm not buying into any of this shit. You know what I mean? So it's very difficult for him to catch momentum when time and time again we're seeing the same stuff. And by same stuff, I mean pointless, no stories behind it. Just kind of throw it all together.
I also think there's you want to under-promise and over-deliver. And I think Tony Khan in the very beginning under-promised and over-delivered. And I feel like in the last few years, he's over-promised and under-delivered. And I think that is an issue that AEW has to address.
And another thing, I don't need to see a tweet from Tony Khan saying, that match was the greatest match I've ever seen. And if you didn't see it, you missed out.
Right.
You don't have to drill it into the fan's head that he just missed a great match or that you have to tune in because of this. You don't see Triple H doing that. You don't see Shawn Michaels doing that. You see Adam Pearce doing that because Adam Pearce is the on-screen guy who's supposed to tell you what's about to come on Monday Night Raw. Yeah. Same thing with Nick Aldis over on SmackDown. You can have those guys as on-screen guys talk about what's about to happen. Having the owner talk about things as if we're all stupid and like, oh, I can't believe this rivalry is really heated up. It's like, buddy, they were at the Golden Corral eating together a minute and a half ago. Like, you don't have to talk to us like we're dumb.
It's like and if you've booked a stage show and then you say, sorry, they can't show up because they're in a coffin. One day we're going to tell that story If you're listening right now, you're just
it needs
like,
to be told. It needs to be
it
told.
will be told. I will say I have one bit of heat with Tony Khan. I should say he has heat with me, and it's this. We produced StarCast 6 in Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Great time.
And we're going to ignore the who didn't show up because they were afraid CM Punk would be there and they got nervous.
Blah, blah, blah.
But I am going to say this. Tony Khan had his stage show with us. It was his tell-all. He's going to be on there and no holds barred. It's live mic in his hand, and he's going to, tell everything. And it was a lot of fluff. It was a lot of nothing. And you could say, well, listen, the guy, didn't have a lot to say. What are you going to do? He didn't have much to say. Next day, he announces the termination of CM Punk from AEW. And all I'm saying is it couldn't have been on our stage. Like, you couldn't have taken that opportunity to do it. Maybe let things go a little viral.
That would have made its round. Sure.
No, but hey, you know what? When you have the ability to pull up a chair, sit down on the stage, and tell everybody about how, you feared for your safety, you take that opportunity, I guess, on your own stage. So, we'll tell those stories one day. That's the type of stuff you're going to get. This is a new wrestling hour, Dave. This is it. This is a new wrestling hour, and I personally love it.
I think this is where we're going to really flourish as a duo, because I really do feel like, and no discredit to the first season of the Wrestling Hour, I think showcasing a lot of former matches with her on a premium, on the streaming network that we were running and all that stuff, and trying to promote the app. I think it was all well and well received. I think the dynamic was great. People loved the primetime wrestling look and feel.
That was awesome.
You're still getting a little mix of that. But I think it's only going to benefit us to talk like normal human beings and not have this character shtick where I'm just like, I got to be squeaky clean, and then Josh is going to be the sarcastic one. You're getting me, and you're getting Josh, and you're getting the two of us.
And it's important to note, I'm just sarcastic. This is not so much a character. Sarcasm is my superpower. Available now, ProWrestlingTees.com/so says Shernoff. Hey, we should definitely get a Wrestling Hour Pro Wrestling Tees if we don't already have one. We may actually have one. I don't know. We'll find out.
I think we do. I remember you decided out of the kindness of your heart to make me a banger shirt. And
keep on trucking, your classic line.
Keep on trucking.
Keep on
I
trucking.
haven't said this episode, but now it's there. So
keep on trucking.
The keep on trucking count.
Yeah, we want to hear from you guys though. So at my fandom app, and at something related to the Wrestling Hour. I can't remember what the social is. But do the My Fandom app, because we want to talk to you over there on the at My Fandom app. I'm at So Says Shernoff. You see it below me. He's at Dave Sturchio. Talk to us. Tell us what you want us to talk about. We're going to be doing this every single Wednesday. We'll record every Wednesday in the morning, and this will air every Wednesday evening. So ask us questions. We want to be able to answer them. We want your opinion on topics for us to discuss. We can do a deeper dive into hygiene if you'd like. That's I think that was a popular one today. But hey, shout out to, and we're not done yet. So still don't turn this off, guys. Just because it sounds like I'm wrapping it, we're not done yet. We still have like 10 more minutes. So this is the Wrestling Hour, not the Wrestling 50 minutes. Okay. Let's get that straight. No, but My Fandom, let's talk about the My Fandom app, because you mentioned All In and how people were posting photos there, and Matt Cardona posting photos. I've posted photos. You've posted them. It's not just pro wrestling. It's sports all across the board. We just introduced hockey and racing as well. So if you're a NASCAR fan, go over there. If you have some pictures, we want to see it.
All 8 trillion of you, because apparently NASCAR is one of the most popular sports in the South. And
so, listen, what we want is for people to go.
Hulk
Hogan. We want people to help us build this massive database of these events through the eyes of the fans. That's really what My Fandom is, right? So you attended a wrestling event We want to see your pictures and your videos on there because not only will they be on your profile, but they will live forever with that event on the app. And
I think that's the one part that people are missing. It's like you're not just posting to post, and you're not just putting it on your profile. You're giving your point of view to the rest of the world, right? And it's like, hey, that's a cool seat in section 400 in the nosebleeds, but yeah, Braun Strowman ran into me at the barricade.
We do have that,
so
right? A video, some guy,
yeah.
Braun Strowman just ran right into him. He posted the video, and that's on a random episode of Raw. There's so many cool things. Like, I found some photos from an event in 1990, the first WWF event I ever went to. And it was really awesome to scan those up and realize that, like, the world has never seen these pictures before. And these are things like you can picture the Macho King, Randy Savage, right? Well, I got this great picture of him up on the turnbuckle before the match started. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you could be the biggest Macho Man fan in the world, but you've never seen that. And the closest you could have been to seeing that would have been if you were in attendance in Philadelphia that night. The chances are you weren't, right? If we're talking to the majority of wrestling fans and Macho Man fans, chances are you weren't there that one night. So you might be the biggest fan in the world, but you've never seen that image of the Macho Man. You can deep dive on this thing forever. And the cool thing about having guys like my best friend in the entire universe, Matt Cardona, on there is, yeah, you're getting some pictures that he's posting, some behind the scenes of events now. But he threw up a picture of the night that him and Brian Myers won the WWE tag titles, and they're backstage with their trainer, Mikey Whipwreck. And that photo is not only on Matt's profile, but that photo is now, I want to say it was Great American Bash. Maybe that's, I don't know if it was that event or not, but whatever.
When they won the tag title for who?
WWE the first time.
I thought that was at Mania.
SmackDown tag team titles.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, right. Like, 10 years before the Mania one. This guy over here. This guy.
It's been a long week.
Well, this is why you need to go. And this is why you need to go on my fandom so that you can celebrate the entire career of Matt Cardona. But anyway, so go. It is, I should mention, free. People like that a lot. Right now it's available for iOS, but Android is coming soon. It is in development. A web version is in development. It is coming soon. myfandomapp.com. That is who presents the Wrestling Hour. I hope all of you have enjoyed this show. I know I'm not. I want to apologize for not wearing a pink bathrobe. You're going to get that on the... You're gonna get
DL.
You're gonna get that on the episodes where I'm really hot about something that happened in fake wrestling. But look, this is what you can expect every week, right? Dave and I are just gonna.
I think that this platform is a safe space for me and Josh to kind of look. Between the two of us, Josh has been in this business for a very long time. I've been in this since 2012. So it's like, I'm not saying like, wow, we've earned our right to say what we want, but I think we're both at the age. I think we're both at the age now where I'll be 39 in less than a week now, and Josh is like pushing 50 at this point. Hey, but like, I think we're both.
I am 40 years old, young man.
Yeah, young man is about to be 39. So what I'm saying is, I think like I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be scared to say anything because of what? Like, what exactly am I going to lose? I now run my own business. Yeah. I now partially own a fucking app. You know what I mean? Like, I'm good. I'm good now where the gloves, like you said, the proverbial gloves are off, and I don't have to really worry about anybody. Like I used to, and I'll be fully transparent. There's been certain things, even remotely, like recently, where I would post something and I would say it in my terms and my way to say it. And I would get a text and like, you sure you want to say that? Or was that a direct shot at me? First of all, if I had a shot to take, I would take it right at you, man. I don't have a care in the world. I am all set in my life. I'm set with my family. I'm set with my friends. This platform right here, the Wrestling Hour, is going to be the perfect opportunity for us, both of us collectively, to speak our minds on the things that some people may not want to speak on, right? And I think that gives us the ability to reach a brand new audience. I think it gives us the ability to reach the audience that tuned in the first season, who liked mine and Josh's vibe, right? Our tandem.
The
And
vibe's
again,
still here.
this all happened by accident once upon a time. You know what I mean? So I think that
By accident,
this is
there
gonna,
are people who will take credit for it.
oh no, 100%. That same person is also the same person who would tell me, "You sure you want to say that?" I'm just like, "You sure I give a fuck?" Because I really don't.
And now he's
and
this is
again,
what we should have done in the
sorry.
beginning of the show. Now Dave's getting heated, which is great. But
Yeah,
you know,
no, I'm
another
sorry.
thing,
No,
when people say stuff like, "Oh, you're talking about me," like, here's a statement I'm going to make. Right? There are a bunch of Dave and I had the opportunity to be at SummerSlam doing we had press credentials. Right? We were in the press box. There are people in the press. People that were there at SummerSlam for press that have press credentials that are phenomenal journalists. And there are people there that are an absolute embarrassment to the business, embarrassment to themselves. So here's my thing. If you think I'm calling you out as the latter of those, you're right. If you think I'm calling you out as the former, you're right. So that's it. Don't get mad at us for telling the truth, right?
I don't think there's yeah, I mean, like, especially SummerSlam was eye-opening in so many regards to being up there. And actually, like, again, I had this beef in my head with certain people where I'm like, if I ever see them, I'm gonna right. And then I actually saw
Poor
a
Bill
guy
Apter.
like Sean Ross
Poor
Sapp.
Bill Apter.
Bill Apter. I saw Sean Ross Sapp do his thing, and I was like, you know what, dude? He's hustling. Like, he's networking. He's hustling. And when we stood in that same line, and our guy in front of us, before we got to speak to Rhea Ripley, the guy in front of us has the biggest wrestling podcast going right now, and that being Chris Van Vliet.
CVV.
You felt like you felt like there was a camaraderie, that we're all in this for the same reason. We all want to be good and professional and get out there and put our faces out there. There are people out there that fake it till they make it. And I'm not I don't want to call anybody out by name, but again, just like Josh said, if you think I'm talking about you and you think that you don't deserve where you are right now because of the way you've either treated others or done favors for, all right, or done anything to that regard, and I'll leave it at that, you don't deserve to be there. And I'll be the first one to tell you that to your face, and I'll be the first one to tell you that to the world. But again,
I'll be the first one to say it behind your back. Listen.
Exactly.
And one other thing, I do want to retract what I said. I said, if you think that you're the person who's unprofessional,
already, Josh?
if you think, well, no, because I said, if you think you're the one that I'm saying you're unprofessional, you're right. And if you think I'm saying you're professional, you're right. But here's the thing. There are definitely going to be some that are unprofessional that think that I'm talking about them as being professional. And you know what? Hey, more power to you. At the end of the day, I want to see everybody succeed. I don't care as long as you tune into the Wrestling Hour every single week. That's all I care about.
And again, you can, and this goes for all my sports takes, wrestling takes, everything. If you can if you don't agree with a take, tell me you don't agree with a take, but give me a reason why, and let's have a conversation.
Absolutely.
It's not hey, I think CM Punk is in the best shape of his life right now. That's what I said on Twitter. I didn't say that, but I'll say that right now. I think CM Punk is in the best shape of his life, right? I don't need somebody to be like, yeah, unlike you, Tubby, or some shit. Like, where does that register in your brain? I don't understand. Like, as soon as you take a personal jab, that's when you don't really want to see me, right? But like, if you just take a beat, take a breath, and have a grown man or woman conversation, these conversations can be had all the time, right? We can talk like grown adults, but as soon as you start with you lose credibility when you start taking the personal either attributes jab or say something like, yeah, you're as dumb as like the little name calling and shit. While wrestling is supposed to provide you with a thick skin, some of us don't have it, and some of us will not only fire back, but they'll slap you right across the face if they ever see you in person. So please tread lightly. Enjoy wrestling. We're supposed to enjoy this shit, Josh. Like, the fans and the journalists and
I'm enjoying this.
You make it people. The fake it till you make it people are the reason why people are so pissed off and angry all the time. Let's all come together for one greater good, and let's talk some wrestling and have a great time. I would love nothing more than the Wrestling Hour to do a collab with Busted Open or Sean Ross Sapp or Van Vliet or any of this shit. We can collab and collectively make the wrestling media a better place to be, because right now there's too many people out there that are being employed and paid and shipped over to London or asking for money to get to go to London. Like, if that's you, stop. Just stop.
Well, time she's up. We'll dive into that next week.
Ding, there's the hour. The cake's done.
So, for a very heated Dave Sturchio,
I'm actually in a great mood. And it's a beautiful day. I'm about to head out to Staten Island to go see the home of the Ferry Hawks and try to promote that event like a mother, because right now I don't know where it stands on ticket sales, but I'm assuming it's not as nice as the Shore right now. So
hey, you know what? Go there, man. I'm going to be there September 21st. Now, do I have to take a ferry? Is that what you're saying?
What?
What is it? I have to take a ferry?
No, you can drive or swim.
When you say ferry, are you talking about like you dress up as like an animal and then you?
That's a furry.
A furry.
We're talking about a
ferry. A ferry, not a furry. A ferry.
I know. It took you a long time. As these Philadelphia.
I'm from Philly. What do you want from me?
There's little words that you say that I repeat back to myself, like he's not saying that right. But I know.
Yeah, like when you gave me a hard time, you're like, my name's Sturchio, not Sturgio. I'm like, dude, I'm saying Sturchio. It's just coming out however you want. Yeah, I don't. What do you want from me?
Oh man,
what do you want from me?
It's a great song by who was that guy?
And on that note, folks,
that's how we end the show. American Idol. What do you want from me?
What we want from you is to message us on social media at So Says Shernoff, at Dave Sturchio, at My Fandom app. And tune in again next week for another episode of The Wrestling Hour.